4 minutes into the first round in the main card in UFC 199, and we have a hero, by the way, who's not just emerged, because he has been around for a long time, and I'll put my hands up and say that straight away. Michael Bisping emerged victorious as he puts Luke Rockhold down 4 minutes into the first round. So, Jason, the whole world was shook by this. A British champion in the UFC. I am proud to say I'm a Michael Bisping fan. I've not been, by the way, and this is full disclosure, this is what happens in this sport. You watch a fight like this, you hear the backstory of a guy that's been around since 2004, paying his dues in this sport, and he emerges victorious because he was given a chance to go forward and succeed when, obviously, Chris Weidman pulled out of the fight, and he was stepped in, and he came up against Luke Rockhold, who, as we know from the last fight against Weidman, is not to be taken lightly, and he was by far the favourite in this fight. But Bisping, with a right hand that sent Rockhold staggering backwards, capitalised on it, and went on and won the fight. It was a heroic story. By the way, I'm going to get into some of the context behind the Cinderella story, which seems to just be encompassing everything that is British sports this season, with Leicester in football and Michael Bisping in champion. It just seems that it's in the water in Britain at the moment that we are having victorious members emerge.
Yeah, look, Michael Bisping's 37 years old, man. And like they say, he was the Ultimate Fighter 3 champion, winner. Like, this guy goes back way, way long time. And people know this, right? But the one thing I wanted to mention with Michael Bisping is there's a trend in the UFC that a lot more guys need to start jumping on. And Nate Diaz does it. Michael Bisping does it. They're yes men. According to Chael Sonnen, there's nothing more powerful than the word yes when it comes to the UFC and MMA in general. 2 weeks notice again, right? Granted, they were talking, Joe Rogan was mentioning before the fight, Michael Bisping has a certain way of keeping finesse in his physical shape that he can actually go take a month off in between fights. He just beat Anderson Silva. Again, but I think Luke Rockhold, totally different opponent, a much better opponent than the aging, or the old, I should say, Anderson Silva. Yeah. So Bisping was a left hand that put him down, and it staggered him. But even if you're watching that fight, Rockhold's chin was straight up in the air. He had a glowing confidence about him that he was going to win that fight, which obviously he got caught. That's what I think happened. I mean, some people were saying he overextended. I don't think he overextended. I think he just got caught, got one on the jaw, and it shook him. And then he got a second, because again, he was going to come back from that first one, but Bisping kept throwing more at him through another left, and it put him on the ground, and that was it. Yeah. So Rockhold was, in the first 2 minutes of that fight, was just showcasing his leg kicks. They are strong. They are debilitating. Yeah. And I thought, 2 minutes into the fight, from what I saw, if that was going to be the way the fight was going to go, Bisping's legs were going to give out in the second or third round. Because you can't put up with that for that long. Rockhold is long. He's strong. I need another word that rhymes with that.
Long?
He's long, strong. The guy is built like a fucking tank.
Right. Yeah, he is.
Luke Rockhold looks like what you think a guy named Luke Rockhold looks like, but Bisping, playing spoiler to Rockhold and getting a title at 37 years old, just a testament to how long he's been in the UFC. He deserves it, obviously, but he deserves it because he takes the fight. Guys like Souza, Jacori Souza, you know, I said whether he was injured or not, obviously some guys will fight on injury, and I'm not saying you should, but the fact of the matter was Souza passed up the opportunity. Yeah. Bisping said, give me the shot, I'll take it, give me the shot.
Yeah, and the guy, as I mentioned, since like 2004 has been campaigning for a title shot, right? To campaigning to the point where he is, again, this is where the UFC, it becomes a cloudy issue, right? Because you can be one of the most efficient ambassadors to the sport. Frankie Edgar is one who we all talk about, right? Thankfully, he's got a great fight coming up with Aldo, which I can't wait. But he's another one that's been campaigning, give him McGregor. But because he doesn't have that oomph factor, which by no other really word to describe it, that's it, is that factor that draws people into you, no matter whether it's British fans or people from across the world. They're drawn into characters like McGregor because they're so controversial and they love to try love or hate. And Bisping, unfortunately for him, doesn't move the needle in that sense. He moves the needle when it comes to his fighting style because he's a warrior, and he has been. I spent most of my Sunday morning watching back highlights of this guy, and as I said, I wasn't aware of him to the point. I knew he was a fighter, of course, and as we look back on my clip when I was praising the world about how Conor McGregor moves the needle in all terms, and And it was encompassed. I was talking to a lot of my friends back home in Scotland. Yes, I know McGregor's not British. Don't remind me. I just need to throw that in every time. They're like, guys like McGregor help move the needle because those are the type of people that we love in other sports, like football. Cristiano Ronaldo moves the needle because he is controversial and he doesn't always just play by the rules. McGregor doesn't play by the rules. Michael Bisping has played by the rules. And it's unfortunate in a competition like this that you really need to have everything in order to get that star quality about you. But the guy has paid his dues, and he didn't get the title fight by the way that I think he would imagine he wanted to do. He didn't get it through merit, like to the point where he was working his way to that, because many articles are running it. He was too fragile, too inconsistent throughout his career. But he was given the opportunity.
They said no punching power.
Yes, given
he knocked out Luke Rockhold.
It looked like he's got some punching power there. So he was given the opportunity, given it in 2 weeks' notice. He took the fight, and he took it to Luke Rockhold, and as we mentioned there, staggering punching power, which people were saying he didn't have. Caught one right in the chin.
He brought it for that one. So after the fight, they traded some jabs. It wasn't even jabs. Bisping called him pretty much like a faggot-ass bitch. I'm quoting him. Yeah. Yeah, that's what he said. Take a look.
That guy's such a I mean, you show your true colors after a fight, and that fucking guy comes up to me and says, you know where you are, huh? Like, I picked you up off the canvas and gave you respect. That guy's a piece of shit, and I want to come kill him next time around.
Hey, buddy, you got knocked out, buddy. Sit down, shut up. For a little while, you're suspended, probably 90 days until you get your MRI checked.
90 days. You take your vacation, I'll be ready.
Bro, you're suspended. Shut up.
And I came back to you. No. Because it was your moment. You had it, you lost it. I'm going to get you. Get knocked out. Yeah. Hey. I shake my knocked out twice now. Twice.
But also, the other fight that should be mentioned, at least when it came to this card, I thought it was a great card. Max Holloway's won by unanimous decision over Ricardo Lamas, which is cool. But I thought the Dominic Cruz versus Uriah Faber fight.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I thought, overestimated Faber coming into this fight against Dominic Cruz. Faber was the #2 contender. Obviously, he was up there and could have won. And in the first round of any chance to end Dominic Cruz, that's the only chance he had at doing it, because Cruz went on, I thought, to dominate the rest of that fight. Now, except for one of the judges, Cruz was at a 50-45, 50-45, 49-46. It was a unanimous decision. It was almost a clean scorecard for Dominic Cruz. Cruz is another guy who's long. And just watching him pretty much back down Faber time and time again in that octagon, I thought that also was one of the was more exciting fight than Bisping versus Rockhold, a more exciting fight than Holloway versus Lamas. I didn't get to see Henderson versus Hector Lombard, but he won via KO and elbow in the 127 of the second round, and Dustin Poirier defeated Bobby Green via KO and punches of the 253 at round 1. I missed those first two fights, so I won't comment on those. But Cruz, again, defends his title, which, again, anytime there's a title fight, man, there's a lot on the line. And those guys like Bisping, though, who take 2 weeks' notice, that's how you win fights.
So UFC 199's wrapped up. UFC 200, as we know in the previous clip, you can check that out. We mentioned it slightly. Brock Lesnar has been added to UFC 200. And then another fight, a small fight, just one that's been put into schedule itself around the August time of the year, UFC 202. And it is going to be, as we expected, it is finally all the shit and the dust and everything that's been clouding this event has just finally cleared, hopefully, pending both of them are healthy. We have the second matchup between Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor. It is scheduled to happen in UFC 202.
August 20th.
August 20th. We will do our very best to get there because, my God, I want to mix it with all the fans there. You get your Stockton loyals, and you get your Irish loyals that are going to be there. It's going to be an intense and amazing atmosphere nonetheless. So are you happy to see this come to fruition, Jason? I know we've been going back and forth with what McGregor deserves and what he wants. But again, as always, it's a card that's going to potentially break more records. It's a card that we've already got a taste of what the first one was. I didn't think the first fight, many people thought it was a letdown because most of them were probably Conor McGregor fanboys. I didn't. I thought it was a good lesson that Conor McGregor learned, and I'm interested to see how he's going to adapt to Nate Diaz because, by the way, what you've seen from Nate Diaz is exactly what you're going to see from Nate Diaz again, and it's been successful for him. He's going to work hard, and he's going to work him down, and I want to see some Stockton slaps thrown in there.
I think that if McGregor has everything to lose in this fight, and Diaz has almost nothing to lose.
Yes.
And Diaz isn't after championship belts, as he said multiple times. Diaz is just after who's in front of him,
And some moolah.
And he wants the money, right? McGregor has to win. McGregor doesn't win, then he has no choice but to go back down to his the featherweight division and just dominate there, because that's where he was dominating. And if he never left that division, he could have possibly, I could be wrong, he could have possibly set records. He could have possibly went on title defense streaks. But instead he made the jump, and there's something commendable about that. But he has to win. He has to win, and he can't tap out.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to basically be passed out on the octagon floor.
Yeah.
Because you can't tap out again, or people are going to lose their minds. So of course I'm excited for UFC 202. But we have a lot to get there, though. We still have 200, which is a stacked card.
Jones.
Cormier, Aldo, Edgar 2, Brock Lesnar, Nunes, and Tate. And then even I'm excited for UFC 201 because that brings Demetrius Johnson possibly within one title defense away from taking over the longest title defense in MMA history. So there's a lot to do before August 20th. I'm excited for it, though, as well.
A lot of UFC action, Jason. So let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. What do you think of UFC 199? We have another Cinderella story emerging from the British Isle, and I'm happy to announce Michael Bisping is the champion moving forward. Hit us in the comment section below. Were you surprised by this? Did you think he had a shot? What are your thoughts on UFC 202 at JasonRubin91 at Francis_Maxwell?